transport of an entire civilization would demand a new kind of cooperation, a new kind of courage, and a new kind of human. Of the many conflicts between the galaxy's factions, none was more brutal than the recent colony war between the UC and the Freestar Collective. After the devastation wrought by the colony war, the UC and the Freestar Collective came together to ratify a treaty that became known as the Armistice. An official branch of the UC Navy, the Vanguard is the United Colonies Volunteer Fleet, serving a myriad of security, logistical, and reconnaissance roles.
Excuse me, this is a private... Wait. There's something familiar about you. So, that's what we're looking for. The pieces to an armory. A path to the center of a multiverse. Starborn or not, you're part of Constellation now. I hope you're as committed to the mission as you were in your last universe.
We also thought, since we're all here together tonight and it's so special, maybe we'd do something a little different too. And tell you what we have coming beyond this year in the future. We have also been working on a brand new next generation single player game. But this one is in an all new epic franchise. Our first wholly original franchise in 25 years. We're excited to announce our next adventure.
They say, the wonder is, not that the field of stars is so vast, but that we have measured it. You're part of Constellation now. Part of our family. What you've found, it's the key to unlocking everything.
We reach your constellation.
This is all we've been working towards.
Jemison route looks good.
We've come to the beginning of humanity's final journey.
Prepare for departure. Graviton loop array full. Check. Your space lane is clear.
That's why we're here.
Main engines go. Ignition.
To discover what's out there.
Good luck, Constellation. You are go for launch.
Space, the infinite frontier of exploration, and the perfect backdrop for what is made for decades both of real-life wonder and a perfect setting for imaginations to run wild with the stars, and ask one of the most impactful questions in human history. Just what is out there? Intergalactic travel is the vast backdrop for movies like Star Wars, shows like Star Trek, and of course gaming classics like Mass Effect. Now, Starfield continues this trend in the gaming world by giving you the keys to a starship and sending you on your way into the great unknown. Now, depending on who you ask, you'll either get one of two reactions. One of them being, oh, that company, Bethesda. Yeah, I don't know if they can pull it off, but if they could, it'd be something special. The other reaction is, of course, Bethesda. It's one of my favorite companies. They got this. They just need to make Skyrim and Fallout in space.
We're all here because we're committed to the biggest question of all. What's out there?
The first reaction to Starfield was the one that I said, and after a few trailers I started to think, if they can pull this off, it will be the most expansive, sandbox oriented, do as you want and live by your own rules adventures that we've seen in a long time. It makes me excited and happy to say that description fits Starfield well. If you've ever wondered what it would feel like to have the Mass Effect trilogy be less linear driven and once again more like a Fallout game where you have full control and reign over which path in the missions you take, who you have on your ship, and of course, whether you're good or evil in the depths of space, Starfield is that dream come true. No matter your platform of choice, whether PC or Xbox, or you're watching from the sidelines, it's hard to truthfully say anything overly negative about Starfield. That is, unless you're following the online trends. The more you explore, the more you unlock. The more the moments start to happen where you think, I wonder if I can do this and if I can make that happen. And crazy enough, the answer is almost always yes.
About time you showed up. All right, I want to know what's going on. I've been trying to get Delgado's attention for, I don't know, 3 years now. And what do I get? Nothing but radio silence. Then out of nowhere, just when Neva and I are closing in on a huge score of our own, Delgado orders me to help you out.
Look, I'm just following orders.
Yeah, I figured you'd say something like that. Just another one of Delgado's loyal little soldiers, huh?
Well, to tell the truth, Delgado wants Dombrowski's Scalbank's credentials.
His credentials? So you're hitting the Gallbank branch in New Atlantis. Nice score, very lucrative and very dangerous.
Is this important? I don't have a lot of time for idle nonsense. Yes, I'm extremely busy preparing for the award ceremony, so this better be important.
Sorry, I don't want to take up too much of your time. I heard you're in charge of the Earth Savior Award.
Yes, I am. Actually, I've been entrusted with the transfer of the award for the last 7 of its 9 years.
Oh, that's
Why
great.
do you ask?
I mean, you must be nervous about keeping something so valuable in your cabin.
In my cabin? Oh, please. Why would I do something so foolish?
If the rest of this ship is any indication, I imagine there is an incredible amount of wealth stored in there right now.
Trident Luxury Lines. I'd like to welcome you aboard. Welcome to the purser's office. I'm Chief Purser Murata. How can I be of assistance today?
Oh, it's nice to be aboard. I'd like to take a peek at the Earth Savior Award, if possible.
I've only seen it briefly myself, but I can assure you that it's quite lovely. Unfortunately, the item is locked inside of our safe, which can only be accessed by presenting an appropriate claim ID.
Must you continue these unwelcome interruptions? I'm a very busy woman.
This will just take a second. I need your claim ID for the Earth Savior Award.
Excuse me? And why in goodness name would I do something as foolish as that?
Well, you can just hand over the claim ID so I can be on my way.
And why in goodness name would I possibly agree to that ridiculous demand?
What's the harm if you help me?
I mean, it might be okay. Listen, maybe you can keep this between us. If the award goes missing, there's no need for the insurance company to get involved.
Of course it's this one.
Sorry, do I know you?
No, there's no harm in a friendly little chat between two people, is there?
Okay, wait, are you seriously... are you trying to pick me up? Look, I appreciate the compliment, but I'm already seeing someone. And my partner doesn't like competition. He gets very jealous.
Well, I mean, I could talk to Larry Dombrowski's wife instead.
His wife? Oh, for the love of God. I told Larry to keep his big mouth shut, but did he listen? No. He had to impress his friends and treat me like a trophy. Look, I've been in this business for a long time, and I know how this game works, so let's skip all the banter and get it over with. What's it gonna take to make us both happy?
Tell you what, 2,500 credits. I give you the cash, you give me Dombrowski on a platter.
You're willing to pay me to give you dirt on Larry? Sorry, I thought I'd end up on the short end of the deal. You know, this whole thing really pisses me off. Larry and I had the perfect scheme where thousands of credits all worked out, and then he goes and flushes the whole thing down the toilet.
I do not understand. Your anger is focused on Mr. Dombrowski, but clearly the failure of this plan rests on you as well.
If you had to work near him day in and day out, I think you'd understand. He's a disgusting pig, plain and simple.
Well, you're angrier at Dombrowski than I expected.
Oh, angry isn't even the right word. The plan was solid. Larry got together with myself and this other guy, Gabriel Vera. He's some bigwig over at UC Security. I doctored the transactions, Larry wiped them off the system, and Vera kept the legal pressure off of us. We were scamming Galbank for months. It was going well until I discovered Larry was cheating everyone by changing each transaction in his favor before deleting them.
Well, if you want revenge, give me the proof that I can use against him.
I wish I had some. Maybe you should try talking to Gabriel Vera. He should be around here somewhere.
Yeah.
If he doesn't want to cooperate, just mention my name. That should grab his attention. Good luck. You're gonna need it.
Oh, I'm afraid that's a bit outside my wheelhouse. I work for UC Security, so I don't think I could be of much help. I have nothing to do with Galbank.
Well, Claudia Swiss says otherwise.
Claudia sent you, did she? Look, friend, I don't know if you're just a little drunk, maybe a touch crazy, or both. Whatever you think you know about me, you're dead wrong. So back off.
This is well maintained, to be sure, but obviously the credits have all been spent on the areas the guests actually see.
Hey, hold up. This area is off limits to passengers. Wait a second. You're Captain Rocko's guest, right? Didn't expect to see you down here. Sorry to give you trouble. What can I do for you?
Really need to get into the life support area.
Oh, sorry. That area is off limits. No exceptions.
Captain Rogoff said he'll, forgive your gambling debt.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that changes things quite a bit. Tell you what, I'm just going to step out for a bit and stretch my legs.
You do that.
Maybe you can hold this for me while I'm away?
Oh, be happy to.
Whatever you do, don't break anything, or I'll be out of a job.
No problem.
All passengers, may I have your attention, please? The captain has declared a ship-wide emergency.
If you were the cause of the ship-wide emergency. It's time you stop playing games and tell me why you're here.
Please report
Look, I'm
to your
undercover with
cabin in
UC
an orderly
Staff,
fashion
and I need
and remain there
everything
until
you got on
receive
Dombrowski.
further instructions.
You're working for Ikande's little anti-pirating outfit? So what? I have nothing to do with the Crimson Fleet. And even if I suddenly decided to stay loyal to the old UC, why would I possibly want to incriminate myself by handing over evidence?
Hey, Claudius said you've been cheated out of your fair share of the, bank job also by Dombrowski, so would you want to take him down?
Claudius said that. You sure?
Yeah.
Damn it! That means my money's already gone. And Dombrowski's going to walk away with a fortune. Special plans for Larry. I have some friends that can, well, let's just say, take care of the problem. That's if you leave him alive, of course. We'll just have to wait and see.
The man of the hour.
Well, well. You must be the one who's been accosting Claudia and Gabriel. I'm uncertain what you hope to accomplish here, but it appears we should rapidly enter into some sort of negotiation.
Please report to your cabins in an orderly fashion and remain there until you receive further instructions.
Fine. Let's negotiate.
Excellent, excellent. So, before we begin, let's review the facts. First, it's clear that you've obtained insider knowledge of my arrangement to defraud Galbank. The means and the method, perhaps, but not the motive. And second, I'm going to hypothesize that my compatriots are despondent regarding their share and have assisted you with this endeavor. Since we're speaking and I'm not at the reporting end of a bullet, this leads me to conclude that you desire something personal from me.
Well, isn't that just an amazing trick, huh, Professor?
I pride myself on having an intensely thorough education, though I'd hardly call myself a professor. Though I'm sure that your compliment also meant you were having trouble understanding what I've been saying. In blunt terms, you have compromising materials about me in your possession. The only thing I have to offer in return are my Galbank credentials. I assume that's what you've been angling for all along?
Will there be much more of this? My head is starting to hurt.
All passengers, may I have your attention, please? The captain has declared a ship-wide emergency. Please report to your cabins in an orderly fashion.
And how do I know that you won't report the credentials stolen?
Well, I'm surprised you even posed that question at all. The answer is quite obvious. The last thing I'd want to do at this point is call attention to myself.
So, you're trying to tell me you don't mind turning the credentials over to me then?
Obviously, that wouldn't be my preference, but I have little choice. Though Larry Dombrowski will be mysteriously vanishing after this cruise, and possession of the credentials becomes ludicrous at that point.
Well, I am looking for the credentials. That's what this whole rendezvous is for.
Splendid. It appears we've reached an accord. Wait, I'm sorry. Let me simplify that for you. It sounds like we have a deal. Oh, of course, I trust you'll understand if I ask for us to avoid any further contact. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to formulate how I'm going to utterly ruin two very annoying business associates. Good day.
Emergency. Please report to your cabins in an orderly fashion and remain there until you receive further instructions.
Always worth checking. Never know what you might find in their pockets.
Stand down.
All passengers, may I have your attention, please? The captain has declared a ship-wide emergency. Please report to your cabins in an orderly fashion.
All hell's breaking loose across the Siren, and the UC's on its way. We don't have long. Well, this isn't the road I would have taken, but hey, you got the job done. You're crazy. You know that.
Things are getting way too dull.
Well, you sure livened it up. It's gonna cost Trident a fortune to mop up this mess. Don't worry. You'll get what's coming to you. I promise. All right, we better get out of here before Trident sends rescue ships to investigate.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the next time we meet, we'll be aboard the Q.
Please report to your cabins in an orderly fashion and remain there.
All right, we gotta get up out of here.
The interior of this ship comforting.
Now, I could get into the whole point. So Starfield was in development for a decade. It's made by multiple AAA budget development teams, or even the low-end price point for jumping on board is that of just buying Game Pass. Or if you want to help fund future DLC, there's the full price to buy Starfield on Steam. Plug a PS4 or PS5 controller in, use a simple button icon mod, and basically you turn Starfield into a dream PS5 title running on PC also. Talking about mods, the Bethesda modding community is one of the largest in gaming, and of course with Starfield, everyone has been hard at work making thousands of mods since the release, and Starfield has even crept up the list of one of the most modded games on sites like Nexus Mods. I talked about some of the good points of Starfield, and while a majority of the experience sets up for the all-important moment of maybe I'll just do one more thing, there is some minimal issues that were present at the game launch, but those issues could and some have been fixed by patch updates, and some could even be fixed relatively easy with PC mods. Issues like the obvious frame pacing causing skipping, which was first fixed by modding in DLSS on PC and later officially updated and patch fixed. Then the major overencumbrance that plagues every Bethesda game is also prevalent here. You can't go 2 seconds without the mirror showing you're overweight, and that you have too much stuff in your inventory. With the amount of stuff you need to pick up of resources for base building, miscellaneous stuff for selling to make credits to buy new gear or to customize your ship, and more, overencumbrance just bogs down the flow of the experience to the point where it becomes a hassle of the journey. Of course, there's the occasional hiccup that the Bethesda game engine is known for, like I've shot enemies and seen them slingshot through environments. I won't pretend the game is perfect and has worked without flaws, but for me, I went into the overall gameplay expecting the worst and let the gameplay experience sell me on what it was. What I found was a proper put together package that didn't take too long to get into the meat of the journey and the starring of the crew, Constellation. To me, Starfield is Bethesda's Mass Effect. From the starting of being essentially a side character coal miner looking for resources to find an alien artifact that gives you a vision that seems like a communication or possible warning, and pushes a message to you that something is out there in the depths of space, to then waking up in the medbay, and even being pushed into what is essentially the Citadel, being New Atlantis, where you meet a handful of crewmates and get given a ship to wander the stars and go on your journey of sniffing out the truth about a race of ancient Starborn, which is essentially beings that maybe lived long ago, or so everyone thinks. Sarah is a historian that is well versed in telling you the history of the universe and groups of people you run into, while Deja is shown as an astronomer and navigator, with past ties to the Veyron. She later tells you about the colony and how they are essentially outlaws and scrappers that send out younger community members on a pilgrim-like adventure. House Veyron agents report to a body known as the High Council. Let's also not forget about Sam and Koroko, which are, well, a mix of Garrus meets Joel and Ellie from The Last of Us, except they're actually father and daughter, For all of his Mass Effect fans, though, that played the original trilogy or those that have recently played Legendary Edition, all this sounds very familiar. Now, before anybody goes ranting at this point, just remember when Mass Effect originally came out, it was an Xbox exclusive and really inspired a whole generation of game design with how it handled Paragon and Renegade dialogue choices, which were felt and reflected over the whole trilogy using save data throughout the rest of the trilogy. While I still think Mass Effect is the best trilogy storyline ever written in gaming, Starfield holds its own with the fact that player choice is at the forefront like never before. The fact that you can walk into a spaceship and destroy it from the inside out is mind-blowing, and I hope BioWare takes note of all the freedom of choice options we have in Starfield. It's almost like Game of the Year Baldur's Gate 3 and Starfield were having a one-upsmanship to see who can do the most player-driven, endless choices, sandbox of a gameplay experience of the Golden Gaming Year 2023. With that being said, I will also point out the fact that I would hope Microsoft could maybe give a go-ahead to Bethesda and help fund a new upgrade and updated version of their game engine. While Starfield does a ton right, it still looks and sometimes feels like a last-gen title. FromSoft is having a similar thing happen with Armored Core 6, where that game also has visuals on the level of a last-gen title. By the way, I have a whole video overview and breakdown of Armored Core 6 also on this channel if anyone is interested. So, we've gathered the crew, went on playing missions, built relationships, both friendly and putting a ring on it, gathered all the pieces of the artifact, had some shootouts with the Starborn, and it all leads to what? Alright, this next part of the video is going into massive spoiler territory, so beware. The ending of Starfield is not exactly an ending at all. First, you confront the Starborn that has been dogging you for half of the playthrough just to figure out it's an alternate universe version of someone you know. This leads to learning about the big possible 3 paths you take. No, not Paragon, Renegade, or Self-Sacrifice. Well, not exactly anyways. You use the artifact to build the armillary and grav drive jump to the Unity. Now, this whole sequence is a bit thrown together, but essentially it's a giant New Game Plus moment where instead of using a cutscene to show the consequences of your actions, wrong game, you get the choice to either go through the liquid-looking orb and turn into a Starborn just to relive the events of your adventures all over again in another universe, or you can go back to your ship that I guess disappeared into the ether of space when you warp drive to the Unity, since you're breaking time and space to warp there to begin with, meaning that your crew members from that universe are kind of lost, but wouldn't that mean that you'd also be lost? But at the same time, you're staying in front of yourself. The whole ending is a giant mess of what the just happened moments after the Starborn just killed one of your crewmates like a few hours before that. It sets up for a player's choice moment of, do you want to hunt down the Starborn for revenge, or do you want to interrogate them for info on who the Starborn are? The redeeming part of the New Game Plus time loop is that when you Commander Shepard yourself into oblivion, no, not that oblivion, you teleport yourself onto a Starborn ship included with Starborn gear and are teleported to an alternate version of the universe where you can reveal the truth about Starborn to Sarah and Constellation, or you can keep the secret and play everyone while studying their reactions. With this, Starfield has both one of the worst endings, but one of the best New Game Plus runs in RPGs. The level of custom storytelling that can happen through each New Game Plus run is kind of unheard of. Not only have you built a backstory for your own main character, but now you have history with all the crewmates and know how to either manipulate them or work even closer with them to fight the Renegade Starborn. It's almost a mastercraft level of storytelling only available from the type of game mechanics that Bethesda in-house studios specializes in. We've talked all about the game mechanics and storylines that help make Starfield overall a pretty great package deal. But there is one lingering question. That being, after all the years of weighing, being teased, and the developers putting all their effort and know-how into making a space trucking adventure across the galaxy, did Starfield actually deliver on the promises made? To properly answer this question, you have to not only look at the game at face value, but you also have to consider when the actual development took place. The development of Starfield started in 2015, which means only the conceptual design and the first drafts of what would become the storyline are made. After that, characters and worlds get plotted, drawn, and 3D designed. The music department starts to learn what the overall vibe and tone of the game is. Next, the length and scope of the experience is put into place, and that leads into an overall vision of what the game is going to be in the long run. In the 8 years it took to do all of this, keep in mind Microsoft was in the middle of buying ZeniMax, and that could have easily changed the scope and plans drastically for what Starfield would end up becoming. When you look at the way the visuals seem to be on par with Fallout 4, the ship flying is about as complex as No Man's Sky, and yes, before you start to yell at the screen, I am going to bring up the fact that we can't manually land and take off, and that it's a giant cutscene. Again, similar to the Mass Effect design. Also, the fact that the full planetary freedom to roam was limited down to a chunk of the map with border limitations. I wouldn't discredit Starfield as much, though, for these few reasons alone. It just goes to prove that Bethesda could use a game engine update, but again, the big question is, would Microsoft be willing to allow that to happen? Since they own all the licenses, the IP, and the very game engine that Starfield runs on now. Something more to keep in mind is the fact that doing a engine overhaul would be the most expensive thing ZeniMax could do. To put in perspective though, Capcom saved their company by making their own proprietary engine, that being the RE engine, and is now a household name with Resident Evil because of it. On the flip side, EA has had mostly nothing but problems with the Frostbite engine and has now entered into an overhaul process of sorts, similar to how Epic has upgraded the Unreal Engine to UE5, resulting in nanite tech and metahumans as shown in the Matrix tech demo in Fortnite. I won't be going into the technical history of the engine Starfield is made on. There's plenty of other channels that do that, but I will say there are reasons both in-engine and beyond that are probable factors why Starfield is designed the way it is. All it takes is one major compatibility issue with one component of gameplay, and it can make the whole game just totally crash over and over and over again. Games are super hard to make, which is the reason why they function the way they do, with optical illusions and, well, smoke and mirror effects. To finish this video out, I wanted to say good job to Bethesda, the development team of Bethesda, and all the other studios that helped make Starfield a success. Every time I jump into my custom-built ship that looks like the SSV Normandy and start to travel around the stars, I kept having a hard time keeping track of how long I've been traveling and doing one more mission, or one more loot sale, or one more customization to my ship, my crewmates, or custom-built little base of ops on Earth. Everything I can think of can be done, and that makes for not only a fun adventure, but a memorable one. Starfield came out during a truly golden year of gaming, and it's surprisingly holding its own with the competition. The next question is, how far can we fly on aged dreams?